We are Legally Sis. Welcome to our podcast.
The information provided in the show is for general informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice on any subject matter. No attorney-client relationship is created between you and Duran Schultz Law.
Hi, we are Legally Sis. I'm Attorney Wen.
And I'm Attorney March. Welcome to our podcast. In our previous episode, we have been discussing about the answers to the viewers' questions on change of name and errors in birth certificate. So in this episode, it would be a continuation of what we have been discussing because there are still a lot of questions that we haven't covered.
Yes.
Okay, let's just dive.
Yeah, just continue.
Hello, I watched your YouTube channel. It's about changing the name judicially. I'd like to ask if I can file a petition to change my name from my biological father to my stepfather's name. As a background, I have been using my stepfather's surname since I can remember. My biological father has a different family, hence, my stepfather was the one who raised me. But I didn't know in my birth certificate that it was my biological father's surname that is indicated there. Can I change or petition my surname?
First of all, thank you very much for watching our YouTube. All right. So to answer your question, unfortunately, you can't change your birth certificate from that of your biological father to your stepdad because there are some legal requirements other than changing of name with respect to using the surname of your stepfather. One is that you need to be adopted by your stepdad in order for you to legally adopt or use his surname. So it means to say that any relationship that you have legally needs to be cut off from your biological father, and that includes the use of his surname. So, in that process, your stepdad needs to initiate an adoption proceedings and adopt you legally before you can legally use his surname.
Yeah, because it's also a paternity issue.
Yes.
Who is your real father? So while there is another person that actually raised you, your biological father is different.
Now I see. There's a complication with that one. Because if your stepdad is not married to your mother, then your relationship with your mother will also be terminated, your biological mother. Because under the adoption process, if the parties are married, they will be jointly adopting the person. But if your mom and your stepdad are not legally married to you, you will only be considered as a child of your stepdad. So it did not mention whether your stepdad is married to your mother.
Hello, what if your name is female sounding? For example, girly, but you are a male. Can you change your name?
Yes, you can change your name. So actually that's one of the reasons under the law for a change of name. That's one of the reasonable grounds provided by the rules of court. So if your name causes confusion or ridicule and embarrassment, yeah,
You can definitely have your name changed.
yes.
I read from your blog that with regard to the change of surname of a child, there is a statement a child born out of wedlock may use a father's family name without undergoing a change of name, especially if the father issues an affidavit or a document recognizing the parentage of the child. How about in reverse? If you are the mother and you want to change the child's surname to yours, is it possible?
I think we have already discussed that in our,
Yes, if it's already if the child's already recognized by the father, and the child is already using the father's surname, you have to go to court for the petition to change the surname from the father to the maiden name if the two are not married.
Married, yes.
But with the Supreme Court decision, it is recommended that the child is of age so that the child can choose on his own if he wants to carry the surname of his biological father or carry the surname of his mom.
Yes.
Okay. I'm a solo parent and my name in my son's birth certificate is incomplete. He is still a minor. How can I fix it? Like me, I have two names. It's Marie Christine. And my son's birth certificate would just show Christine. The Marie is dropped. So how can I correct my son's birth certificate? I think that's how I glean the issue is from our viewers' email.
The person who asked that question can have his birth certificate corrected by merely going to the local civil registry where his birth certificate is recorded. So he can just ask and file a petition requesting for the correction of his mother's name because that would could be considered as a clerical or typographical error as long as the incomplete name of the mother can be supported by documents.
Just like ID, the birth certificate of the mom.
Exactly.
It's dual name instead of just one.
Yeah. So just go ahead and file your petition before the local civil registry where your birth certificate is registered.
Which is that situation is a little bit the same with another email that came from our viewer. So the issue is the mom apparently has been using three different
Names?
maiden names. So the viewer said it's A as a surname in all her valid IDs, but when they got her birth certificate, it is actually B. And then in the son's birth certificate, it is now C. But I don't think the difference would be really entirely different, like ABC, but maybe just wrong spelling, right? Maybe instead of A in front, it is I, or then in another birth certificate or civil register, it is U. So how do you fix that?
Okay, well, we have to go and check the birth certificate of the mother herself. Okay. So from that point, you need to correlate it with whatever existing documents that the mother has already. So if it is, say, example, in the birth certificate of the mom, it's A, but in the other
IDs.
government, yeah, ID, school records, it's already B. So what is the correct surname of the mom?
The mom.
So if it is really A, then the mom should retain the spelling of A.
And correct the IDs.
Yes, and correct the IDs. However, if the error is in the birth certificate and it could be supported by the other documents, say as the parent, so
Yeah.
now it's B.
The
Yeah.
the grandparents' family names are those that are reflected or similar to what is reflected in the government IDs. So it's really the birth certificate that's incorrect then.
Yes. Then she needs to correct the birth certificate by going to the family court and have the birth certificate corrected.
So it doesn't matter if it's just the surname and it's just a letter versus if it's the middle name.
Yes, because, well, legally or technically, if there is any issues with respect to the surname, it is a judicial matter which needs to be corrected or tackled, discussed before a court. But if it is a middle name, if the error is merely clerical, then it could be um
Via
remedied via just filing a
LCR.
petition before the LCRO.
On my PSA birth certificate, my grandmother's name has been registered as my mom's name. So it's entirely incorrect name. Instead of the mom's name in the birth certificate, it's the grandmother's name that's written.
So it's like he or she is considered as a sibling of his or her mom.
Yeah.
All right, so that's entirely a different thing. Well, you need to correct your birth certificate by going to the court.
Yeah, maybe the grandmother is the one that wrote the
Yeah.
entries in the birth certificate and thought that it should be her name that's indicated. So I'm sorry. That's why for the parents, right, at the hospital before you sign off on the birth certificate, you really have to check one by one each letter if there's any correction that you need to correct. You insist that the hospital or the Kumanjonan revises it before it's turned over to the LCRA because it's a lot of trouble for your child eventually.
Yes.
Okay, this one, it's a long question, but the gist is she has Chinese sounding name or a Chinese name because she was born outside of the country and she's Chinese, but her mom is a Filipino. So when she moved back to the Philippines, she was given a Filipino name. But in her birth certificate, which is in China, it is characters. It's a different name. So how does she fix it to avoid confusion?
So in that kind of situation, if she has a Chinese name in her birth certificate, but eventually while growing up, given an English name, and in her baptismal records, school transcript, she's been using the name, the English name. Well, she can have her name in her birth certificate corrected via administrative process. So just go to the local civil registry where your birth certificate is recorded and then file a petition indicating that you want your name to be changed from your Chinese name to your English name, and then provide the supporting documents which has indicated the English names. So are there any other questions that we have or we received?
Yes, okay.
Right.
My middle name is incorrect. Instead of E, it was indicated as I in one of the letters. But in all of his birth certificate, everything stated as I. But he wanted it to be E, which is the correct spelling of his family, maiden name.
Okay, for that situation, well, actually, we have a relative.
Yeah,
Yeah, whose middle name,
is U instead of O.
yes. So what we did there is to change or have the birth certificate corrected via local civil registry. So as long as you can support the middle name with any documents like from your parents,
Grandparents showing the correct spelling of that middle name.
yeah, or your siblings, if you have any siblings, then you can do it before the local civil registry.
And then he had an eventual issue because he bought a land here in the Philippines prior to the correction of his name. And now his corrected name in the birth certificate is different from the land title because it showed the incorrect name. So
That's another issue.
that's another issue. But okay, how about this one? His birthday is incorrect. It should be month and then 26, but it was stated as month and then 28.
Ah, all right. Well, for that one, just it could be corrected via
Administrative.
administrative process because it's one of those allowed under RA 9255 for the correction. It could be considered as a clerical error.
But if it's an incorrect year,
Yeah, that's a different thing.
you have to go to court.
Yes.
Okay, my mother was trying to apply for a passport, but she is having an issue with her PSA birth certificate. Her middle name was different from her mother's, which is my grandmother's, maiden name. How can she correct it?
Hindi na yan simpleng ano.
Yeah, because it's an entirely incorrect name. It's
Yes.
not like an error, like an I or an E or an O or that should have been U, right? It's not an error. This is really
Different. It's a change of name.
it's a change of name.
Yeah. So
Because it causes issues with paternity, then it will not fall under the simple administrative.
that's right. Yeah. So you need to go to the court and request for the change of your middle name.
The incorrect um gender. Remember, we have an employee whose gender is male, but she's really a
No.
female.
I think the gender was just left
Oh, left
blank.
blank. Okay.
Yes, that was left blank. But for that particular scenario, if your gender is left blank, just file a supplemental report with the LCRO. And then definitely you will need supporting documents such as medical records, but it should be from a physician of the government employee, not just a private one. And then for the scenario that you mentioned, the second scenario with respect to if you are if you have issues with your gender,
It's incorrect.
it's incorrect. Well, for that situation, it could be considered as a clerical error. So you can go to the local civil registrar and have your birth certificate corrected. But you need to submit supporting documents to prove your gender. So a medical certificate issued by a physician from the government office would likely support your request for the change of your gender.
Okay. How about those that are hyphenated? He said his surname should have been hyphenated, but in his birth certificate, it was not hyphenated. Can it be considered as an error? Can we change it?
For hyphen, yes, it could be done by administrative, process correction.
Okay, similarly to those with the word the, DE, right? Sometimes it's like the mesa.
Yes.
Sometimes the de was removed from the mesa. So it's also considered as a
Clerical.
paragraph. Okay, I think that's it for now.
Wow. All right.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.